YouTube. It's your boy Azaka FX. Now, I just finished a recent challenge and I'm taking up another one. This is a dollar account, a single US dollar. And I'm actually going to be taking this $1 account to $100,000. Of course, over the course of many trades, over the course of many trades. Now, this is one of those special scenarios with which we have a sell bias, but we are buying the market first before we switch to our original sell bias. So if you're interested to see how this trade would actually play out, definitely subscribe. Stay tuned so that you can see the next part of the video. That is obviously because I cannot hit $1 to $100,000 over this one single video alone. It has to be many videos, but it's going to be very interesting. Smash that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so that when I post, you will see that I have posted and get learning on how to actually do it yourself. Before we go straight to our technical analysis as to how I'm going to catch this trade, we'll let this trade play out so that I can do all the explanations at once, and definitely stick to the end. If you have any question during the course of our technical analysis, leave it in the comment section. Like this video so that YouTube can actually push out the video more and more to other people that might be interested in such a video. Let's go. So the rules actually states that at the very first break of structure, that's it, our take profit one, and price has actually moved 223 pips, 224, let's just say 200 pips. Pretty decent move. Why not? Very decent move if you ask me. And it has an absolute sniper entry. So the rule says that we have to actually take off some of our profit. So let's just do that now. We'll take off some of our profit. And since we already broke even, we just have to wait to see if price would decide to continue going up or come back down to take us out of break even. And as you can see, our $1 account is no longer $1. It's now $2, which is a pretty decent thing. Let me go ahead and explain the technical criteria for this particular trade before the next one actually comes up and more. Now, one of the things is, like I said, we actually was going against bias, so I could not actually maximize the trade. If you notice, there was no full margin. It was just very simple entries to see if we can actually catch something reasonable, and of which this was take profit one, which is this recent high. As you guys know, we took our profit in there, even if price is still, you see, all of this range was something I did not want, because one, our session was coming to an end, so we definitely had a slow growth in volume. The time is 6:28 p.m. right about now, so this is evening for us. We're done trading for this day. Tomorrow is going to be another day. How did I catch this move? Now we analyzed and saw that bias is what? For a sell. So bias is for a sell, but the last point of supply for that sell is all the way up here. You see how far it is, and price dropped really hard to give us what? Our displacement candle in the 1 hour time frame. So this whole move that you're seeing right here is our displacement candle in the 1 hour time frame, which is actually a very important criteria. Now that is being said and done, we needed to find our entries, and this being our entry 1 and our entry 2, of which I actually called to what? Our inner cycle. But then we needed to know a way to know if our zone 1, which is this zone, and our zone 2 would hold. So I said they should look for a tap into zone 1, then a further confirmation like a BOS or a change of character. And as you can notice, which is this zone right here, it tapped here, but it failed to give us a clean buy, a clean break of structure when price finally came back into it. That would have made this change of character valid for us to continue selling. That is why I marked out this tiny line that you can see right here. As that happened, we saw that, oh, this is more or less a sweep to the top side. So that means this is a sweep to the top side, and this is what? Internal liquidity zone below here. That means we were still looking for what? Buys. So we looked for the last point of supply, which is the last fair value gap before the move up, which is this zone that I marked out here, and then we took our entry from somewhere right here because of all the whole delay. And as you can see, price actually moved up all the way to our take profit. Our take profit is the first swing high that we can actually meet, which is up the way here. And this is for TP1, and we took our profit at TP1, then took out the remaining profits because the day is already ending. As you can tell, the time is 6:30 p.m. and our main profit is all the way up at zone 2. So when price reaches zone 2 and London session has not closed, then we are taking our second entry, and this time around the entry will be pro bias, unlike this one that is what going against bias. As you can see, I could not hold it took too long, otherwise we would have still been in this trade by now. I had to exit. I think I exited my second one somewhere, bringing us close to what, $3. So we've gone from $1 to $3 in a single trade, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show you guys the accounts. Let me just show you guys what the equity is sitting at, right? So this is the account. We've actually exited our trade, and as you can see, we've got $3.21. It's still the same account. So it is actually very, very good, because if I had $100, I have basically made what, $300 from this one single trade. If I had $100, I basically had made $300. But then we don't have $100, we have $1, and we are going to $100,000. So keep watching. For our second trade, we are going to attempt to see if we can cross this 300 cents, which is $3, to somewhere, you know, above $10 or thereabout. We know that we've done the equivalent of going from $100 to $1,000. It will also be the equivalent of going from $1,000 to $10,000, and it will also be the equivalent of going from $10,000 to $100,000 in 2 trades, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep watching. So this part is actually very important. I want you to take a very good look at this screenshot right here, this place right here. The fact that I'm actually closing $1 again. That is because I applied money management. And I removed $2 from the $3 I initially made, leaving the account back to what, $1 again before I cut this trade. That being said and done, I'll just go ahead and close my entries, close it all off. Then I will do a lot of explanation, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely keep watching. In continuation of our trade, this is like basically the next day, not even just the next day. This is like hours later. Today is almost finished. This is why we actually cut this trade. Now, you might be saying, oh, you're back at $3 again. I thought it was at $3. No, I applied money management. And after applying money management, I withdrew $2. So we have to now trade $1 back to $3 again. So now our portfolio is seated somewhere around $7, with which we can now transition from a successful cent account to what? Standard account. So the next part of this video is actually going to be standard account, us going from $7 to probably $100, and it was beautiful. Actually, it was beautiful. Now I need to actually close this trade because this is 250 pips. I need to close these trades. We're done, ladies and gentlemen. So it's a beautiful trade. We first of all took our first entry from here, and I actually called it to the inner cycle. Here's the evidence. I actually called it to the inner cycle. Somebody that took the trade. We took our first entry from here, but we set break even, and price, as you can see, took us out on break even before it dipped. When it dipped, I used this order block here as our re-entry for the M5, and then it continued dropping. Special scenario. How did I cash this trade? Let's go straight to what? Our technical analysis. So this was actually the beautiful entry. You guys know that special blue line that always used to be in my chart, the one that we used to determine our daily bias. This one is a beautiful one, because what happens when today does not give you bias for you to trade today? Okay, Alex, if you are in the comment section, I want you to actually tell me in the comment section right there, what happens if today's bias failed to give us a fresh sweep or fresh BOS continuation? In that special case scenario, let's go straight to our daily time frame, and then I'll show you guys actually what I'm talking about. D1. So beautiful right here. So as you guys know, I used to mark out the daily high and the daily low of the previous day's candle. Then I'll wait for price to either sweep it or break below it. Then we can now use either the sweep and the reversal, or the break below as our bias. But in this scenario, these are previous daily candle. Yesterday, that is the day before yesterday, we got a bias for a sell. So as you can see, we got a break below right there. We got the break below. So this is a sell continuation for what? Yesterday. That was what happened yesterday. So today is a fresh new day. We needed to plot bias. So the previous daily high of yesterday's candle, which is now this candle right here, and the high and the low, and we needed price to either sweep it so that we can do that, or break below it so we can go for a continuation. But price did nothing amongst the two. The price did not do it. Price did not sweep it. It did not break below it. It did nothing. It just kept on playing inside. Kept on playing. I waited all throughout the whole of London session to get that sweep or continuation, either to the downside or nothing happened. Then I used yesterday's bias, since today was refusing to give us a fresh bias. I used yesterday's bias as our confluence to look for the sell. That was how I got today's bias. Of course, you know that it does not end at that. After bias, you now have to go to the medium time frame, which is the 1 hour time frame, and look for your POI. So let's come to the 1 hour time frame right here. As you can see, in our 1 hour time frame, we needed to look for our POI. Why is it that price cannot break bias? We noticed that there's a valid order block. So this was that valid order block that I said, oh, price has started. This is our bias zone. This is our top daily high right here, and price did not want to break it. It tried and tried and tried and tried. At that point, I was like, okay, let me start looking for since this is a POI and it is valid, let me start looking for a criteria for a valid sell, of which I went down to the 5 minutes time frame and started looking for break of structures and change of character. And as you can see, my usual tiny lines, this is the change of character right here. So it first of all created the high. When it tapped it, of which it swept its liquidity. I call all of this internal liquidity. It swept its liquidity to the top side, then it swept its liquidity to the downside, then it gave us a break of structure. So it gave us a break of structure right here first, then it gave us another break of structure right here second, and then it left behind a supply and demand zone in form of a valid order block. And for an order block to be valid, you know that order block has to break structure, and that order block actually broke structure right here. So beautiful trade. It broke structure right here, and with which I called the signal to the inner cycle, and it was at first dancing, refusing to be indecisive. I told them you can either break even, or you can decide to hold it on the SL. It's your choice, but I know that this is what the market, according to the data that the market is giving me, is doing. And of course, price came back to sweep out the last liquidity. There's also another order block there. I should have seen this thing and moved my stop loss back from break even towards SL, normal SL, but then I was not active as of the time, so I did not see it. I just entered and I stepped out. So, but when price actually took me out on break even, I said good and fine, I'm going to look for the next supply and demand zone, the next valid supply and demand zone, and actually get involved from there. And that was it right there. Beautiful trade. I actually caught it from this place. Lovely sniper entry. Of course, you know that the market will not wait for you, so while you are going from trading view back to meta 5, waiting for meta 5 to load, it actually dropped. Hence why our entry was somewhere here, but it was still a sniper entry because it's still on the wick, and then it's actually sold off all the way down here to 250 pips, with which we have exited our position. This is, of course, a supply and demand zone, a valid supply and demand zone. As you can see, when price come into it, we want to see validation. We want to see validation to see if price would give us a fresh change of character here. The same thing it did here. The same thing it did here, whereby it tapped first, swept the high of that tap, and gave us a break of structure to the downside. That is a valid change of character. Then we now needed to see some sort of supply and demand zone, either in form of an SNROC or in form of an order block. We don't mind, and price did this case in form of an order block. So that is what we want to also see in this zone. The only difference is that we'll be doing all this observation in the 1 minute time frame for our re-entry. So that was just how I caught this trade, though, ladies and gentlemen. So our $1 to $7 is off the ground, but we are still very far from our target. We are still very far from our target. Keep watching, subscribe. See you all in the next part, where we're actually going to attempt to take that $7 to who knows. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. I have not started layering because my portfolio is still very small. I have not been able to half my portfolio and keep some funds just in case if I take a loss. I've not done all of that, and I really don't want to tap in from other funds. I want to do this strictly plain and pure. See you all in the next video. So it was actually a beautiful trade, and I'm glad that most of you in the inner cycle, new inner cycle, actually took the trade with me. I'm glad. See you all in the next trade.